The melody. So, I just checked my wife's FB messages and found out that my wife has been cheating on me with a neighbor. We have been married for 13 years and have 3 kids, and I love her dearly. They have been texting for about 5 months and I think sleeping together for a couple of months. I read all of the messages and they were heartbreaking, talking about bonding and stuff. She mentions in her text she doesn't have love for me, talked about divorcing me for him. When I confronted her about it, she was in shock, I found out. I didn't lash out but told her how heartbroken I am. I asked her about when she was going to ask me for a divorce and she said she didn't know. She said it comes and goes. I asked her if she would now pursue a divorce and she said she didn't know. I'm in shock. I said if she wants to try and make it work, she has to break it off with him immediately. She said okay. After the confrontation, I check her FB message again and she told the other guy that I knew everything and asked I don't ruin his family. It seems my wife is his third affair. I mentioned that I don't know what to do but have lots of thinking to do. We are taking the kids to the beach in a week. Not sure what to do about that now. Yeah, I feel terrible. 3 a.m. and probably won't sleep at all. I know the other guy's family and kids. Think I should give him the chance to tell his family first or just go ahead and do it myself. I'm thinking of his wife and kids, not him. I have everything. Even took pictures of the messages on her phone. I will let the other wife know tomorrow and show her everything. Quick update. I sent the OM a message last night saying to stay away from my kids. No threats were made. I logged into my wife's Facebook from my PC and watched the conversation as he found out this morning. It was all I could do not to jump into their conversation. He feels guilty. He is a piece of crap. She says she is as much to blame. He asked my wife if she thinks I will tell his wife. She says she doesn't think so. They are in for a fun surprise today. She says she loved me but hasn't been in love with me. She told him she was completely honest with me. The other man says if I want to work it out, she should try. She says, how can I ever look him in the eyes again? I missed the rest of the conversation, although it was mostly over as I went to talk to her again. I told her that if there is any remote chance for us to try to move forward, she had to cut all communications with him and I need her passwords, which I have. Her response was okay. She said, regardless, I don't know if I still want to be married. We talked a few more minutes but those are the highlights. Update. She and our daughter left the house. I sent a message to the other man's wife that we needed to talk. Long story short, we just blew this up. She knows everything and will be confronting him. I even told her about the past affairs. My wife called me to say that she talks to her parents. The only thing she would tell me is they want us to make it work. I told her whatever. She said not to do anything rash like pack up and leave. I'm at the angry stage now. I'm furious now. I am leaving to get STD tested at a nearby lab and then headed to my parents to tell them everything. The hard part, believes it or not, will be telling my aunt. My aunt and wife are close, just I am close with her. She is practically my godmother. Crap is going down. Another thing to note, he is 13 freaking years older than her. Update. It is now D-Day +4. I am downright sick still, and this still consumes my constant thoughts. So, Sunday, she spoke to my aunt for about 3 hours. Afterwards, my wife and I talked for about 45 minutes about the situation. She apologized and I think she meant it. She knows how devastated I am. We saw a marriage counselor on Monday. We liked her and we think she can help us. Tonight, I plan on asking her the gory details as to how many times. I just can't keep wondering about these things and need to move on. I don't want to have to keep wondering and then ask her months down the road if we are still together. I plan on seeing the attorney tomorrow for the consultation. I am also having a one-on-one session with my new counselor tomorrow. I have not gotten the STD results back yet. I should get those later today. I am also now spying on her and she knows I have no trust in her anymore. I have a video camera for the house. I also have a VAR that is in her car. She went on a field trip 1 hour away with our son today. Parents are not allowed to ride the bus, so she drove separately. So, if things are still going on with the other man, I may very well find out today, given she is in the perfect opportunity to talk to him. I found out that she had another Facebook account. He had used it Saturday morning to talk to her. I have been checking it regularly ever since, but no messages. I do want us to stay together. We both have major issues to work on, obviously her more than me. Hopefully MC will net results. If I so much as get a hint of the two of them are still talking, I will draw up the papers and serve her. No, the Facebook account she has had. From what I can tell, she created it to look at someone who had blocked her. I do not believe she knows that I know about the account. She says she didn't violate our bed, but did the guest bedroom, which is where she is now sleeping. 3 years later, I caught my wife cheating a little over 4 years ago with a neighbor. They had a 6-month relationship right under my nose. I worked at the office, my wife was a stay-at-home mom, and her AP worked from home. So, they were always doing stuff while I was at work and kids were at school. Things seemed fishy to me, so I broke into her phone for the first time ever and saw their texts on Facebook Messenger. I busted them both, also telling the other man's wife. My wife and I decided to reconcile as we have 3 kids. Needless to say, it has been a tough 4 years for me. I monitor practically everything my wife has done since. Trust is gradually being rebuilt. Fast forward to today. We have now been married 18 years. The OM has since moved about 20 minutes away in November 2020. I couldn't find his new address, so I used a site to get his information. By doing so, I was able to see that he and his wife are living in separate houses. My wife suffers from major anxiety and some minor depression. I have also wondered if she might be slightly bipolar, since she seems to have a lot of highs and lows. She takes meds for the anxiety. Some of the issues stem from an abusive father. She tends to yell a lot and gets mad easily. She told me last week that she seems to stay mad all of the time and may get counseling. I asked her if she has communicated to the OM recently or still thinks about him. She said no. Over the past month, I have been getting those weird vibes again. She will gaslight me. For example, I apparently did something to piss her off a couple of weeks ago, and she just completely ignored me. She has been showing more of an indifferent attitude towards me for about a month now. She has a job now that requires her to be in the office, and I now work from home. She leaves early and I get up to get the kids ready for school. She typically leaves the house soon after I get up to help the kids. When she leaves, she rushes out without goodbyes or love you. When she gets home, it is more of the same. So, my radar is going crazy. I did a deep search of all of her texts and found out she set up her own Amazon account. We already have an account for the family. She used her usual password, so I was able to log in and see if she was trying to buy a burner phone or something. There were no purchases or evidence of anything. I opened up her profile and saw she had used a new secret Hotmail email address. I tried my best to guess her password with no luck. I go to reset her password. It will send a code to her work address. She has been at this job for almost a year and a half. It will also lock out my computer from trying to log in again after so many failed attempts, until there is another successful login. When that message goes away, I know she had logged into it. So now I am freaking out but not letting her know I am. I have found a way to reset her password because she also has her work email on her phone. To be clear, I do not think she is actively seeing this guy, but she might still be talking to him through email. Of course, I have been wrong before, so I have two ways I can approach this. 1. I can confront her about it and demand that she opens the account to let me look through it. She could say no and I could miss out getting any damning information, if there is any, needed for court. 2. I can reset her password and go through it myself late at night. She will know the password was reset the next day. I will be leaving. I will not be cheated on twice. I have a VAR and tracker. I will start using them again. By comment, this is a terrible way to be in a marriage. There are people who will change, but it is not your job to change people. Story 2, the performance. He's had enough and does not want to continue to work on our marriage. He said he still loves me but has lost the will to keep going. He's done. I am devastated. We have an 8-year-old child. I have no support here. I am from another country. We have no relationship with his family. Long story. We've had issues for a long time, but recently I poured out my heart and soul to him, telling him how I feel, admitting my part in the breakdown or our marriage, and also, we started getting counseling. I still love him deeply. I told him I am willing to do whatever it takes to save our marriage, and he still said, it's hopeless. We have nothing in common, etc. I have been a stay-at-home mom for 8 years. I have no money, no support, nowhere to go. Even with those factors, the real reason I want to make it work is I love him more than anything and can't imagine him not in my life. I am crushed by this. I have been a stay-at-home mom for 8 years. I have no income of my own. My husband left last week and has now informed me he has opened his own bank account and his salary will be going into there from now on. He stated he will give me some spending money. Obviously, this has thrown me off, again, and I am not comfortable being at his mercy and begging him for money to live on. If I hire a divorce attorney to file a legal separation and set up a separation agreement, support order, who pays the bill, because obviously I cannot. I feel very vulnerable and feel the need to protect myself financially right now. Since he left, he has been on about not getting lawyers involved right now, and we can work this out ourselves without lawyers for the time being. How convenient for him. It's been 2 weeks since he left. At first, I cried all night and all day, then we had lunch and talked. I now regret that, and we've been to 2 counseling sessions since then. I have mixed emotions at this stage. I am disappointed in his throwing away our marriage. I am disgusted in his behavior. I am angry he is putting our child through this. He blames everything on me, of course, thinks he has been the perfect husband. He is so blind to his actions. I have been alone in this marriage for years. He has had his little EAs with ex-girlfriends and I think a PA years ago on a business trip. When I confronted him about the E, he accused me of trying to control his life and isolate him from his friends. When I confronted him about the PA, he flatly denied it. He has ignored me. He has not cared about my feelings. And the list goes on and on. I am starting to think he's going through a midlife crisis. He's been exercising and dieting like crazy, and today he informs me he is getting things done on his stomach. I said to him, feel free to just go and spend our money as you please. His response was, I see you have not changed. I am not allowed to say anything to him. I don't even want to see him anymore. He is staying at his brother's house. I have no idea what his plans are. He comes over and hangs out and plays with our child. I feel uncomfortable having him in the house. He treats me very businesslike, polite but cold. I just want him gone until one divided by he comes to his senses and comes home and totally recommits to working on our marriage and us, or two divided by he just files for divorce. After day one and me crying, he is now not seeing my emotions. I have done the 180 and I do not cry or look sad in his presence. I am friendly and polite. I do not contact him. I do not invite him around. I do my own thing on my own time. I do not talk about us in any manner, shape or form. I do not ask him anything about his life. Yes, I feel I have put up with a lot from him, as well as so much emotional neglect over so long. In the past, when I asked him to come watch a movie with me on the couch, or be home in time for dinner, I am the only one who cooks. He has given me the "you are trying to isolate me from my friends" or "you are controlling my life." He is addicted to Facebook and seems to prefer those friends to his wife and child. Many a night I have spent watching TV alone while he is on his laptop. Over the past year I am so lonely I have just left the room and gone to our bedroom and either gone to sleep or read a book. Sad, lonely life. In my opinion, he has isolated himself. I have not seen him pick up the phone and call our friends to organize an outing for years. He just Facebooked them. He blames me for everything wrong in his life. I am sick of it. The more he is away, the more indifferent I am becoming. He says he thinks we should not be married anymore. He says he has not been happy for most of our marriage and the last few years have been unbearable. He doesn't think anything can be changed or fixed. He's going to get his own apartment so he can have overnight visitations with our child. I feel like a part of my soul has been taken away. I am so sad. Is it just me or is this okay? He has tons of female friends, most on Facebook, and he has recently met a new friend who he is spending time with, helping her out, etc. She is 8 years younger than me and single. He has had emotional affairs with ex-girlfriends over the years, and who knows who else. I have confronted him before and he accuses me of trying to control his life and make sure he has no friends. To me, he has crossed my boundaries many times. Having secret email relationships with females is not okay with me. Having in-person friendships with women I don't know is not okay with me. P.S. We separated a month ago. He was supposed to come visit our child but canceled because he was busy helping his new friend. Does anyone else think this behavior is acceptable in marriage? My timeline is August 2011. Husband tells me our marriage is over and he wants to separate and eventually divorce. Cites problems over past few years. Sept 2011. I do a 180. Start moving on with my own plans and tell him no contact. Oct 2011. He calls me and says he wants to come over and talk about us. He comes over and tells me he misses me and our child and wants to now work on our marriage. We agree to marriage counseling together and he agrees to get counseling for his own issues. He states he still does not want to come home. End of Oct 2011. He calls and says he wants to come back home. I say okay. He moved back a week ago. He is sleeping in the spare room. No affection between us, but peace and friendliness. He sort of does his own thing and I do mine. Tried to talk to him today about it. He said some things that raised red flags. 1. He does not want to sleep in our bed with me because if it doesn't work out he does not want to hurt me more. 2. How is my job hunting going? Been a stay-at-home mom for 8 years. He wants me to now earn an income. 3. Am I in a happy place? 4. Said one of the reasons he moved home was because it was practical and cheaper than living apart. Our house is in foreclosure and we could have to move in about a month. Before he told me he wanted to come home, I had told him I was planning on filing for divorce, legal separation so I could have proof of income when I went to rent an apartment. Then he came home and I didn't do it because I want to try on fixing our marriage. I so want to believe he has positive intention, and I am trying so hard to give him the benefit of the doubt that he will not leave me homeless when our house forecloses. But I have a nagging feeling that he is planning on splitting when we have to move out. It just seems like he is not really committed to our relationship. He says he wants to work on it, but I see him sitting on the fence. I don't know what to do. I am so confused and worried. Any thoughts on my situation? After a separation last year, then him coming home at his request, and now 6 weeks ago him telling me he wants a divorce. We initially agreed on separating and staying in the same house, but different bedrooms, until I got a job, been a stay-at-home mom for 9 years, and he could afford to move out. He treats me like dirt. He says nasty things to me on a daily basis. He does not help out around the house. What a convenient, cheap hotel he has for himself. He has never taken an ounce of ownership for his part in the demise of our marriage. He has had emotional affairs, lied to me countless times, has never been emotionally available, and in me and my IC opinion, has emotionally abused me for years. I have seen him vulnerable once in the 12 years I've known him. Once. He has never shared anything with me on an intimate level. He is a closed book. Whenever I tried to talk to him intimately, he was very uncomfortable. He would then bring up my childhood wounds later in an argument to hurt me. Whenever I tried to ask him about his past, he would say I don't remember. I really know very little about him. But as he reminds me every day, it's all my fault. Something snapped on Saturday. He said to me, "You're going to be messed up when I move out." I think he meant I'll be screwed financially and all alone to deal with our special needs son 5 days a week. It was said in such a way that I feel he is going to take pleasure seeing me struggle. What a mean person. I can't take any more. I know I'm going to be screwed financially when he moves, but I'd rather live on ramen noodles than live under this strain. I don't want to be around him any longer. I need him to move and take one of the dogs and his piles of personal belongings stored all over the house and garage with him. I told him this morning and he was pissed. Like I was putting him out. I can't take a dog and I will have nowhere to store my stuff. Like it's my problem. It's not. He wanted this divorce and has done nothing to work on our marriage so he can live the consequences. Hotel California is closing its doors. At this stage I want a divorce too. He is never going to take responsibility for his actions, nor is he going to change. I want to be over this and start to heal and move on. Update: husband and I had a talk this morning. At last, a talk with honesty, no anger or defensiveness being directed at me. We mutually decided to file for legal separation. He has agreed to move out into a small apartment on a 6-month lease, and we agreed to implement a 6-month plan, which means 6 months to see how things go without either amending the petition to divorce. We both admitted we were not ready to shut the door on our marriage, and he admitted he needs a lot more therapy and it doesn't happen overnight. I thought I would be upset, but instead I am incredibly relieved. I feel great about this. We definitely both need space and time to work things through with ourselves and each other. I personally think it's the best course of action right now. I hope we can work things out slowly, but if we don't, I know I'll be okay. My STBXH is living in a fairyland. It's safer that way. He can still tell himself every day that he is perfect and a wonderful person with no faults. He has it all together, and his next wife will be perfect because it was all me, not him. He refuses to take an ounce of responsibility for all the damage he did to our relationship. I get feedback from people saying he tells everyone he dumped me, but he tried so hard in our marriage. It makes me sick. Tried. All the emotional affairs, secret dinners and lunches with other women, friends to talk to, secret texts, emails, phone calls, Facebook flirts, the inability to emotionally attach or share with me, the secret life, the verbal abuse, the neglect of his wife, me, him never wanting to do anything with me or spend time with me, him leaving me at home and going out without me all the time. He tried. For the past 7 years I have been so lonely. Now he's moved out, I don't feel lonely anymore. Funny enough, I told my IC I don't even want to be on friendly terms with him until he starts to look at himself, recognize the ways he killed and sabotaged our relationship, and start apologizing and admitting it to everyone else too. But I'm not holding my breath. It still makes me fume listening to him tell people this bag of lies. The past few months he's been very attentive, taking me out on dates, wanting to spend time with me. He has even stayed over after family days together and slept in the spare room. I have suspected he has been seeing a new woman because my son has told me she's daddy's friend. My husband knows my firm boundary: no other women or forget it. He has sworn left and right he does not have a girlfriend. I've asked him point blank about her. He says he just knows her from church years ago, way before we met. Last week I found out this woman has posted some very cozy pics of her and him on her Facebook, of their weekend away, posted last week. She refers to him as her sweetheart and how she's in love. I confronted him. He said he is not in a relationship with her and has told her he does not want a relationship. I asked him why he is still seeing her and he said he didn't know why. Then he said he didn't want to give her up until he knew if our relationship was going to work out. He has not really made any effort to see if our relationship will work. Dates here and there where we have gotten along great and had a great time. He has made comments alluding to our future together a lot. Today, after spending yesterday together and a nice date last night, he comes over today and says he wants to talk. This is what he says: "I'm sorry I've hurt you, but I have got to let you go. I like you and still love you, but this is not going to work. You'll never forgive me for what I've done. Do whatever you need to do to let me go." I said okay. Then he left. I dig a bit deeper and find out he's been seeing her all along. And it seems everyone knows about it except me. I feel so humiliated and lied to. Who does this to someone? Who can string their wife along like this and be so devious and lie? As for the piece of crap woman, what the heck? He's still a married man. I feel sick inside. I feel so betrayed and I feel like a fool. I still loved him and I wanted to make things right. Today I've been a mess. I've been holding up pretty well considering what I've been through in the past year or so. For those who know my story, you know what I mean. I can't stop crying. I want to know why he did this. Why he did all those things to hurt me. Why he found other women also appealing and told me I was a total pain in the back. A slew of other horrible names. Why did he lie to me? Why did he string me along the entire time telling me he still loved me, taking me on dates, calling me gifts, and he was seeing other women the entire time? Why did he post pictures of him and his love interest all over the internet for every person we know to see? Was that to intentionally humiliate me? He must have known how crushed I was to see that. All I ever wanted was a happy family and a loving husband. I have lived my life well. I have never hurt someone or done something to harm someone's life. Yet he made me feel like the lowest life form on the planet. I don't understand any of it. And now he wants me to forgive him. He wants to be a family again. He says he is sorry and wants to turn back the clock. He says he is disgusted in his behavior and hates himself for what he's done. I wish I could believe him and forgive him, but I can't. The pain is so deep and the damage is so irreversible. Today was a little better. I thought through a lot of things. My head tells me lots, but my heart tells me another. He says he loves me. What he's done, you don't allow to happen to your family. You don't get some other casual buddy pregnant. He's a grown man and this is the second time he's gotten some skank he's not married to knocked up. You don't keep bringing people between you and your family. This is not the first. He's let his mother get between us, his female best friend, ex-girlfriends and others. He has no boundaries whatsoever. I know I should be running the other way and it's just hard to let go of the dream I had when we met and got married. We were so in love and happy. We had everything going for us. He has lost everything he has and now his family, and yet he doesn't seek to make any changes. He just makes the same stupid mistakes over and over. His career will be the next thing he'll lose. I try to keep reminding myself of all the things he's done to destroy our relationship, our life, and our family. That way I keep going on and try to cut him out of my life. I filed for legal separation on April 2nd. The hearing is not until May 23rd. The court did the math and calculated X amount for him to pay in child support and spousal support. He got paid yesterday and was supposed to pay me. He sent half of what he was supposed to. He said that's what he thinks is fair. Since a judgment has not been made and we have not attended the hearing yet, can he do this? Can he just not pay? I thought once he was served, he was required to pay. If anyone knows what to do in this situation, please advise. I do not have a lawyer, can't afford one. I'm in California. We have the first hearing with the judge tomorrow. We had been working on a marital settlement agreement. We got everything agreed on except 4 points. I agreed to joint legal custody, but I want physical custody with visitation to him. Our son has special needs and I have him 5 days a week, take full responsibility for his special needs, appointments, therapy, meds, homework, school, etc. My ex picks him up on weekends and has none of these responsibilities, just the fun times. Religious issues, we've never been to church in our lives, but now he wants to start taking our son to fringe religions, and probably the same church his pregnant goes to. I said I wasn't comfortable with that. He wants me to agree to an end date for spousal support. I said I will not give up my right to collect spousal support. We're in married 13 years. I was a stay-at-home mom for 9 years. And lastly, contact with his crazy mother and pregnant So, I guess tomorrow we go in and tell the judge we can't come to an agreement. What happens next? I had petitioned for attorney's fees since he warns 4 times what I do. I expect that will be awarded to me, so if he continues to not want to settle, I'm going to hire an attorney and let him pay huge bills to fuel his ego. Update, at our hearing this morning. Wow, what an interesting experience. First of all, we came to complete agreement late last night on all issues and finalized the marital settlement agreement and child custody attachments. I got sole physical custody with ex getting visitation and we share joint legal custody. We agreed no time limit on spousal support. We agreed he will pay my legal fees if any future need arises. We put limits on contact with his mentally ill mother but left out any reference to the I don't care anymore and it's on him how he handles that situation. We agreed in writing to see the family therapist once a month to discuss co-parenting issues. Agreed on everything else. I got everything I asked for financially. So, we turn up at court at 8:30 am. About 15 couples, cases waiting to be heard. We were all taken into the courtroom at the same time, then sworn in as a group. Bailiff asks if there are any parties who have come to agreement on matters and do not need a full hearing. We said, we have. We were told we would be heard among the first. We're the second case to be called. Went up to each respective RESP table and the judge pulled our file, had a quick look. Then he read the stipulation we had prepared, didn't even look at the marital settlement agreement, 16 pages long. He then asked us, is this in line with the child custody mediator's recommendations? We said no, but we had come to complete agreement on everything anyway. He said, okay, I'll sign off on this now. He signed, shuffled some papers, and said final judgment for legal separation entered today. The bailiff gave us each a copy of the paperwork and we were done. Whole thing took about 3 minutes. Done, amazing. We were tempted to hang around and watch the nasty cases fight it out just out of curiosity, but we both decided just to go into work instead. So, I am now legally separated and it feels good, even if I was a little sad. It's all over. Months later, I've received multiple hang-up calls from the pregnant over the past week. Ironically, she was complaining to my STBXH I was calling and texting her, which of course I have not been. Trust my ex to hook up with yet another nutcase. This is the same woman who told my STBXH she was pregnant after he left her and asked me to reconcile. When she told him this news, he then turned around and dumped his family, me and DS, and went back to her because he thought it was the right thing to do. He continued to have unprotected time with her, and a few weeks later she tells him, I wasn't pregnant before like I thought I was, but I am now. Desperation at its finest. I have no idea why she would start harassing me. I've never met her, not do I care to. Wonder what her angle is now. I filed the final papers on Friday. What a relief. I felt good about it, but also at the same time sad because I wasted 13 years of my precious life on a lying, cheating sleazeball. My ex just moved back into my neighborhood. I had mixed feelings about it. It's good he's close to our son, but I sort of liked having him 25 miles away so I didn't have to witness his train wreck of a life. He invites me over to his new apartment. I say no. He invites me out to lunch and dinner. I say no. He texts me all the time. I only respond when it's to do with our son. The young skank he got pregnant is due in 3 weeks. He told me the other day she has told him she is going to take him to the cleaners. Cry me a river. My son comes home from visitation at his dad's and tells me daddy's new girlfriend came over last night. We have an agreement in the marital settlement agreement, no new dating partners around our son for 6 months. I confronted him. He said sorry, it won't happen again. I said I had no idea you were dating again so soon, after the pregnant skank. I said, is she comfortable with you wanting to spend so much time with me? Is she comfortable with the fact you have another baby on the way in a few weeks? He didn't answer me. She probably has no idea. After all, this is a man who kept his secrets and affairs from me for 13 years. He's good at it. He has advanced skills in lying and compartmentalizing his life. I don't give a damn who he dates, I just want him to stick to the agreement the court signed off on. I told him you don't have to keep it a secret, I don't care. Where does he find them? One woman after another. I wished him luck with the upcoming paternity suit and child support order. A month later. First of all, I want to be clear that I would never wish harm or misfortune on another human being. I believe in the saying you wouldn't wish that on your worst enemy. But lately some things have come about that I want to share. Firstly, my evil, nasty, hateful psycho mother-in-law who waited until the ink was dry on my marriage certificate to dig her claws in. Not only to me but my poor sister-in-law too. For what reason we will never know. She has said the most horrible, hateful things about us, treated me like dirt, ignored my son when he was born, long story, and spread evil gossip about my sister-in-law. Seems she has just been diagnosed with mid-stage Alzheimer's. She now has nobody who gives a damn about her to care for her. I hope when she still has some of her mind left, she will think about that fact I was a loving daughter-in-law until I just couldn't take it anymore and she burned her bridges with too many people. Good luck in that nursing home being cared for by underpaid illegal immigrants and being taken advantage of. Secondly, my ex asked me last week to spend Thanksgiving with him. He admitted he has nobody to spend it with. I said no, I'm busy, of course. So, after all the years of being compared to his psycho female friends, being dumped publicly on Facebook for the friend of his daughters he got pregnant, being told how worthless and fat and ugly I am, being lied to, cheated on and screamed at and humiliated, being told how I made his life miserable and why couldn't I be more like so-and-so. He has nobody to spend Thanksgiving with. My comment, sometimes you just need a hard reset in life. Do you think OP will get a better life? Sub and comment down below.